Welcome to Success Superstars, episode 100. Amanda, episode 100.
That's special.
That is pretty special. So before I introduce my special guest, Amanda, I'd like to just say for all my past 99 guests, thank you. Thank you for being a part of something really special. It's really near and dear to my heart to be able to share and interview all of our great, amazing agents and the stories that they've gone through. With that, it's now episode 100, and my special guest, Amanda Grantham from McKinney, Texas, and to share your special story.
All right.
On episode 100.
I'm excited. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And not everyone gets to do episode 100.
No, just me.
And it's part of that reason is because you have an amazing story. Now, before we get into your background, about 2 years ago, you attended one of our awards events that we have called the SEPIs on an annual basis.
I did.
And you weren't even licensed, or one of our agents invited you as a guest just to come have a great time.
I didn't even actually think of being in real estate at that time. And I was invited as a guest. And I was a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
So I didn't have anything else to do, you know. I didn't even watch my kids that day.
Right.
And
come to a great party.
yeah.
You get to
dress up.
We wear tuxes.
Yeah.
And you know, it's
any excuse to dress up and get out of the house, I'm there.
Right.
And so I went, and you know, I met a lot of really great people. But there was one award that really stuck out to me, and it was your Rookie of the Year award. And I watched Angela Taylor go up there and give a really great speech. And you know, I love looking at houses. I love buying houses. So after that speech, I just was really intrigued, you know, in hearing more about the business. So I just dove in and got my license in June of 2018. And, you know, I set volume goals and transaction goals, but you know, what was crazy is when I learned you had to sell 6 transactions with JP, or
right.
you get put, you know, on that suspension. I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope I can just get 6, because I'd be
right.
so embarrassed if I were suspended. And, you know, my first year I set goals, and I actually had to adjust my goals 3 separate times because I achieved that goal early on, and I was like, okay, that was not a high enough goal. So, you know, my final goal at 10 million, I hit in December, and that was really awesome for me.
We were talking a little bit before the show. I think there's a little disagreement over the number. I think it's higher than 10 million. So we'll get that.
I'd like for it to be.
Yeah, we'll get that verified. So your first 4 year in real estate, well over $10 million in sales, which is phenomenal. And with people that are experienced that would love to do 10 million. So let's unpack that for a minute. Let's go back before real estate, before you came to this amazing party we had. What were you doing before real estate?
I was in the car business for about 6 years. I sold cars for a little bit, and then I had the opportunity to be in finance based on, you know, a former boss that I had that knew I could do well. Right. And once I started that, it was a little difficult for me because I'm very much a people pleaser. I wasn't that type of car salesperson where you go in and I sell you that day. Right. That wasn't my style. I was very much so the person that would spend a lot of time with you, and if you wanted to go look at 3 other manufacturers, I'd give you my number and, you know, text you and say, hey, yeah, definitely go check those out. Let me know which one works out. I'd love to see you here. Most of the time I was hugging clients on their way out, and they'd leave, and my boss would always tell me I made more friends than sales. But what I will say about the car business is if I didn't sell a car to that person that day, they sent me 5 people who did. So it always came back full circle. So I think that's really beneficial in real estate because it's really important to be personable, and it's really important to be liked.
Right. And not be in it just for the sale.
Right.
Yeah, because everyone can see through that.
Yeah.
That piece. So, and then being a mother.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's had some lessons that's carried into real estate as well.
Well, it's taught me a lot of patience with a lot of people.
Right, there you go.
Very important.
Right. Well, good. Okay, so now you come into real estate, and you saw one of our rookies, and you set a goal. Mm-hmm. You said, that's going to be me on that stage. And tell us about that kind of experience.
You know, my best and worst quality is to not fail. I've always been the type of person that I will, you know, I'll set a goal, and even when I exceed that goal, I have to set something higher because I feel like, that goal was too low. Even like you said, a lot of people don't hit 10 million. For me, that was a huge deal. But now I feel like I just need to do even better than that, because if I could do it on my first year, what could I do, my second year? So
20 million.
Yeah. Let's roll. What award is that?
Yeah.
It's like Sapphire's 10 million and then...
Oh, yeah. So you've got Ruby, Sapphire, Diamond, Double Diamond.
Yeah. That's big.
Okay,
but let's do it.
Well, so let's unpack that a little bit. Obviously, there was a lot of hard work. There was some strategy. There was some, probably ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Give us the big picture. What was the strategy going in that allowed you to be so successful right out of the gate?
So because I was in sales for a long time and I grew up in the area, I think that's very important, especially if you're not paying for leads. It's important to know people and also for people to like you. So right off the bat, I hit up every single person I could possibly think of on Facebook. It's not like you go out and you don't see these people for years that you're friends with on social media, but when you reach out to them and you let them know, hey, this is my new business, which, people hit me up every day for, certain MLMs and things like that. And I always respond, even if I'm not interested, just because I think it's really important to know, who is working for certain, companies and things like that might benefit you in the future. So what I do is I message 30 people a week, and I'll message the same 30 people 6 months later. On Facebook, you can see when they read and they don't respond. That doesn't hurt my feelings. I think the biggest thing that people need to overcome is hearing no, which it's not scary. I'm fairly annoying when it comes also to being in public, because in the first minute, I do let anyone that I meet know that I'm a realtor.
Right.
I've met a lot of people, going out places, restaurants, bars with friends and family where I do drop it, and I'm handing out business cards not just because, but because they're asking. So I think a lot of people are afraid to just say what they do, and again, the worst you can ever hear from someone is no, and the best you can get is a sale.
So I heard a couple things. One, you're not afraid of the opinions of others.
No.
Right. That doesn't...
Thick skin.
Yeah, you have no fear. But what I heard that's even more important than that is you have a system.
Yeah.
You said, okay, I have a goal, a metric that you measure yourself to have 30 contacts a week, minimum.
Yes.
That's just bare minimum.
Yeah.
And you started that day in, day out, week in, week out.
Day one, yeah.
Day one, and you've been consistent. Has it been hard being consistent to do that day in and day out?
No, especially once you see the business that you can get from it, it's not hard at all. In fact, like I said, I'll hit, numbers, and I pretty much make a goal for each month, and then my goal is to double the goal that I made. It's one of those things where I'm just never satisfied with that. And so if I see, I've hit this goal, but I can do better than that. Right. I'll go back through and again, people that maybe just left me on red and didn't say anything before, I'll hit them back up because they didn't tell me no the first time. So what's to say they're not going to say yes this time?
Now, have you always been that goal driven? Is that something that just comes naturally to you, or did you learn that through some experience?
Yes and no. I think growing up, I was much more quiet, much more of a people pleaser, much more of a follower. Mainly because I don't like for people to not like me or think I'm annoying and things like that. But I think, from especially being in the car business where you're 100% commission just like you are in this business, there's no option to not do well or, to not be driven like that. Otherwise, it's obviously not the right career path.
Right. It's the only job I say every day you wake up unemployed.
Yeah.
Right? Every day you wake up unemployed. Now, what does the success mean to you?
It means a great deal, and I have a huge support group. My family, they're so great, and any post I ever do, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, everyone's sharing it. Any home for sale, or even if I'm promoting someone else's listing, they're promoting my listing, promoting their listing. And so I think my success is really just a feeling that you have. It's not, at the end of the day, it's not just about the money and the trips you can take and all the things you can buy with this new financial liberty, but it's just seeing how far you've come and how proud everyone around me is of me. I think that's really special to me, because without that support group, I don't know that I would still be the same person I am.
Yeah, it's so important that support group you have, and I'm assuming they hold you accountable.
Oh, definitely.
As well. Now, having such great success in the first year, what's the future look like?
God, hopefully better than last year.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I haven't sat down with my goals, and drawn them out this year because I've actually been really busy in January. I closed 4 deals already, and I have 12 in escrow. So it's like, I know, don't be mad at me. I know I need to sit down and go over those new goals, but I know that they definitely have to be much better than last year.
Yeah. Sounds like we need to have a coaching session.
Yes,
after
we
this
do.
To get you back on track, because
Yes.
we know that once you get caught up into that whirlwind,
Yep, you can lose it.
you'll lose it. So, but it sounds like you're so committed to doing better and better each month that you kind of naturally reset your goals each month. It sounds
Yeah.
like.
It's almost like, even if I hit, my 30 people or so for the week, if I feel next month, oh my gosh, I only have 2 closings, last month I had 4, I'm like, I'm looking for it. I'm looking where else, I'll go to, I live in a newer community where we have 6 builders. They all know me very well. I'll stop in every few weeks to see, hey, do you have anyone that's coming up unrepresented that I can help out, whatnot, what can I do? So I think it's just really important to, just because maybe you do think you do think that you're doing well at the time doesn't mean you couldn't do better.
Right. So networking is a key component.
It's huge. I mean, it's huge. Like you have to be willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah. Now, if you're going to talk to anybody that was in your shoes from sitting at that awards show 2 years ago, not even thinking, anything about real estate, what advice would you give them?
My biggest regret is not starting sooner. I think everyone says that. Again, I had always had, I think a lot of people think, man, I think real estate sounds cool. I could do that. But they don't actually go through it. And I have 5 people a week messaging me saying, hey, I see you're doing really well. I want to do this. Do you have any advice for me? And for all of the realtors that do really well, I know a lot of realtors that don't do really well. So it's really just about having,
average.
Exactly. I mean, and you just
good.
have to. You can't get licensed and want to be a realtor if you just want to be mediocre, because that's when people start looking for a second job because they're not making it. They make it part time and whatnot. So I think if you're thinking about it and you you have what it takes, just do it.
Chris, I think we just found the quote. Every episode has its quote, and you just said it. Don't be mediocre.
Yeah.
Right. Don't come into this business to be mediocre. No one wants to be average.
Right.
And you're definitely above average.
I appreciate that.
So congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
Well, as we wrap up this episode, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience about your story? The systems you do, a tool you use, something that...
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons I picked JPAR, other than his very small fee, which is amazing, is the classes. I have people ask me all the time from other brokerages, what do you think about JPAR? What do you like about them? And especially as a newbie coming in, I think veterans that have been in the business for a long time feel like they already know what they need to know, and that's not true, because this is a business where, you can learn something new every day, and you're never going to know it all. Knowledge is key. So with JPAR, when you pull up that calendar, and you might think, I want to know more about, investment properties. You could pull up that calendar, and there's a class that you could take, via Zoom, where you don't even have to change out of your pajamas and leave your house that day, within a week. Right. So I think that it's really important. I think that's a great tool that JPAR provides for everyone that not enough people utilize, because you really can learn so much from just any of those classes, if you decide to take one.
Yeah, for sure. Education is key.
Yeah.
Particularly in the ever-changing environment that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap up, was there ever a time in your short period in real estate that you wanted to throw in the towel?
Yeah, in the very beginning, the hardest time. I think it's frustrating for someone to, number one, devote so much money into starting, because not only are you, putting in money to get licensed, but you're not getting money back, especially, for those people who don't have a job that are just jumping in the way that I did. So, when I got licensed in 2018, I did a lot of apartments, and I did a lot of rental deals that a lot of other people wouldn't do. And I still, you know, a year and a half later, I still will do those same deals because every single one of those deals I did before came back with a home sale the next year, or, you know, within next year. You know, we made a 2-year plan. And I think that's really important too, to not think that you're better than a deal because it's not enough, you know, or it might be too much work, because I do think that they come back tenfold.
Right, and it's a great service.
Yeah.
Speaking of service, what do you do to distinguish your service from everyone else?
I think it really has to do with being personable. And, you know, if you do take the route of messaging people on Facebook every day, I never copy and paste the same message ever. I type it out every single time. Obviously, I go along the same lines. Hey, you know, I was just reaching out. I wanted to see if you have a realtor in your circle of friends and family. If not, I'd love to be your go-to. You know, it's been a long time. I'd love to catch up. You know, most of my people I have on Facebook, I do actually know, and I haven't seen in a long time. So I think it's really important to be personable, or to say, hey, you know, I saw you just got engaged. Congrats on that. Let me know if there's anything I can do, you know, with real estate needs in the future. I'd love to help.
Right. Yeah, good. Well, there you have it. So this has been episode 100 with and nominated for the Rookie of the Year this year. Yeah, so we'll know in a couple weeks how that ends up. So with that, we'll see you soon on another episode of Success Superstars. And Amanda, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.